The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Man, I got it right. My hand in my bag.
Buckeyes and trying to turn to the goal line. Puts the football over.
Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My
Hands to Gaffney. He's in.
You know I'm popping tags.
Bad snap. Fumble. Scooped up. Here come the Spartans. Down the sideline. Racing into the end zone.
He hits it! He hits it! He's in!
This is Sparta!
All right, welcome to the first episode of This Is Sparta podcast. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, Otis Wiley, and Jehuu Caulcrick. How you fellas doing?
Oh, feeling good. Tomorrow is game day, man.
Oh.
Juice is flowing. I mean, went out to practice. I'm ready. I know they're ready. Been ready, but how you feeling, Jay?
It's always like that this time of year, right, Jehuu? When you're a football player, this time of year just brings back those juices.
Exactly. It's great, just driving through campus, seeing the stadium set up, seeing the TV trucks come in, and it just takes you back to, when you played and you were walking around campus, and you're like, damn, this is all for me? This is for us? It's really cool. East Lansing's buzzing right now. It's going to be a lot of excitement in the stadium tomorrow.
Oh, looking at how many students were just walking around on campus, you could tell there's a lot of energy here.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
The buzz is high because the expectations now are high for the Spartans after an 11-2 season a year ago. Mel Tucker, a year ago, unexpectedly just shocked the world, if you think about it, what he did in East Lansing with 47 new players on the team, and then takes them to a Peach Bowl win, a New Year's Six bowl game, an 11-2 record. What do you say about this season?
Oh, it's to that point, it's pressure,
Yeah.
and I think they understand the platform that they have and what they've built and the expectations. But I also think that they know their DNA as a team, where it's us against the world still mentality. So regardless of win or lose, but you're going to get the best effort, and you're going to see high volume, fast paced football. Where, back in the years prior, it was you just never knew what was going to be, our offense or, our defense for a few years. So I'm excited about what they've been putting together for Friday tomorrow.
Still being able to keep that chip on the shoulder is something that's in the DNA of Michigan State and something that Mel Tucker has definitely adopted into his program. And what do you see with Michigan State, Jehuu, into this year? Like, what's your outlook?
Yeah, I think this is the most important year for Coach Tucker in his tenure at Michigan State. Coming in his first year, it was the COVID year. Didn't know what to expect. No one knew what to expect. Was there a season? There's going to be a season. There's not going to be a season. We're going to do a season in the spring. Then we ended up having the season. And then the next season, last year, under the radar, going undetected, had a great year. Brought in a bunch of guys.
What was the over-under on wins last year? I think it was 6 wins or 4 wins. It was something very low.
6 at best.
Yeah, at best.
Brought in a running back no one heard of, Kenneth Walker III.
Yeah. From where? From where? We don't know.
Everyone knows him now. Yeah. But so this is going to be the most important year because the spotlight are shining bright on East Lansing this year. There's a lot of emphasis. There's a lot of buzz going around the football program because of the success Coach Tucker had, and also recruiting. That's huge. With all I think I was somewhere in there, Coach Tucker's in the media more than any coach in football.
Oh, by far, right?
So that is adding to the pressure, and that's why I think, this year is going to be the most difficult year for him to continue to have those guys play with that chip on their shoulder and not read the press clippings.
Oh, yeah.
I think, that you brought up a couple great points there, Jehuu, and then we're going to get back to you about, with Kenneth Walker as a running back and your assessment on the running back position, because there's some transfers that are now coming in that are running backs that we're going to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the staff and how that's been intact. And with the defensive backs, a year ago, Michigan State ranking 14th in the Big Ten in pass defense. Otis, you see Mel Tucker.
They were dead last in college football.
Yeah, dead last in college football, 130 or so. So there's only one way to go, right? There's only one. You got to go up. And Mel Tucker is now the cornerbacks coach. How do you see this playing out for Michigan State?
You know, it's crazy with when we played with John L. and we had a new coach come in, and Mark D'Antonio. Coach D was also cornerbacks, defensive backs coach, and he took the safeties, and then Coach Barnett had the corners. But collectively, Coach Barnett controlled the room, right? But Coach D spent 100% time with the safeties because they are the quarterbacks of, you know, besides the middle linebacker, they got to be the smartest ones on the field. When you look at the difference now from this year, from last year, I think it's all about the mentality of knowing how to just check your man and run pound for pound with them. And I think it's a point of emphasis this year is, you know, we have a corner in Charles Brantley who is undersized but got a heart of a lion. And then we got Amir Speed that comes from the SEC, and I mean, this guy
have you seen this
guy? I feel like he's 6'7".
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that lies about his height on the wrong way. Like,
exactly.
he lies that he's shorter than he really is. He's
so
really
just size,
huge.
if a receiver pound for pound, like this guy is a body, man, has a body type. But I think it's to the point of he's straight line speed, and so it's going to really test him on, you know, where this is not the SEC. This is more of fast-paced and power football. So we're going to see, you know, how he handles that, but he helps that secondary. And you look at Xavier Henderson, like this guy is smart, man. Like he is a coach on the field, and he controls the room, commands the room, but also you'll see a new vibe, of new kind of trajectory of like that Spartan defense that we get 3 and out, we get the ball back to the offense, and then, you know, we let the guys do the work, and then we just handle what we can control. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, that's great points because you think about Mel Tucker being a defensive back specialist, Mark D'Antonio, as you talked about, being a defensive back specialist, and Nick Saban, who had all three of those gentlemen on one staff at one point in my era. They played together. They all coached together, and they all three are head coaches at Michigan State and doing a phenomenal job. And, you know, let's go over to the offense a little bit, Jehuu. We talk about the continuity. Jay Johnson, offensive coordinator, back again. You know, Mel Tucker was able to retain him, give him a raise. His play calling ability. What did you think about what he brought to the table a year ago?
I thought he brought a mixed bag to the table a year ago because going to Spartan fans before that were very frustrated with the offensive play calling, and rightfully so. It was very predictable, and we get it. And
Short side of the field, jet sweep.
I was going to say jet sweeps.
Is that what we're
Jet
talking
sweeps.
Yes. You know,
What's that toss pitch, right? Direction.
you know, hey, we got a big tight end. Let's give him a jet sweep too. Everyone gets a jet sweep. No, but it was very predictable to him coming in and changing things up. And the thing I really liked about what he did last year, he made Peyton Thorne feel comfortable. Yeah. Peyton Thorne was never put in a position to say, go out and win the game for us, because they had a dog in the backfield in Kenneth Walker III.
Take the pressure off.
To take the pressure off. And no one knew exactly what to make of Walker, you know, last season, but, you know, that Northwestern game. First carry as a Spartan, 75-yard tutty. Pretty impressive.
Like you said, Teddy.
You know about those studies, don't you? You know,
Never 75 yards.
Never 75, but 22. 22. Jay, will remind us all.
Hey, I'll remind them I had a longer return.
You had a longer return? And guess what? I had no touchdowns. So anyway,
But you touched the ball more than any back.
Anybody, that's right. Touched the ball a whole lot.
Yeah, so, but no, with the offense there, I know you're going to take a deep dive into the offensive line, which I think is an important part for this backfield here. But, you know, who's going to replace Kenneth Walker? That's the big question. Who's going to be the person to step up and be that guy? Is it going to be running back by committee, you know, or is someone going to step up and, you know, take control of that room and be the guy? That's something that we're going to find out tomorrow, and that's something I'm really excited about. There's a bunch of people coming in that can do the job and fill the role, but no one's really stepped up yet to say, hey, I'm the guy in this room. I'm going to be the one to replace Kenneth Walker.
Wow. You know, it's very exciting to be able to see what's going to unfold at the game tomorrow. When you think about Michigan State versus Western Michigan, when you think about the defensive side of the ball again, though, Otis, when we take it from the defensive secondary and go down to the second level, the linebackers. I mean, you have a room there that's stacked full of athletes. What do you see there?
I mean, obviously we got returning my man, Halliday, like that guy.
Cal?
That guy, man.
Cal Halliday?
My gosh. We call it Paul Bunyan Jr. That guy is he just goes out there and gets it. Like, that pound for pound every down, he's giving it his best, right? And I think that it's leading by example, and the other guys and the linebackers in that room see that if you work hard and you're smart enough, you make plays and you make them quick. I mean, you think about how he capped off last season with that pick 6, right? Like, the guy is an athlete, man.
No gloves.
No gloves.
No wristband.
No tape, nothing.
Yep. And so, I'm
raw dog.
And then you got Darius Snow, who is obviously a dog by lineage, right? And the guy is one of those guys, smart. I mean, he was on the coach's show yesterday, and him and Coach Tucker talking and just casually, but it's a guy who's smart. I mean, he said he's at 3.8. But his dad has instilled that dog in him, right? Like, it's all about just not football; it's the whole experience. But him coming on out there, we got some speed that we're able to go sideline to sideline and drop in the hook and curl. Where I think that's going to add a better element for safeties like myself, where that linebacker is going to be rerouting that receiver or getting the hook curl, but he also knows he's going to fill the hole to hit the running back. So I think it's a great kind of committee as a Spartan.
Does that give you comfort as a defensive back if you're as a safety back there looking at some linebackers like Cal Halliday, as you said, Snow?
Yeah.
Does that give you comfort to be able to have that eye control?
Jay, you probably could attest, man. We had John L. Smith, man. Like, I was running up there, and,
you were in the box.
Yeah, I was like, but
free
like,
safety in the box,
just like eating, right? Just coming down, smacking, trying to smack and hit, but like. I had leading my sophomore year was like second tackles and leading in the defense. Like, when Coach D came over, he was like, "That's a problem."
Yeah,
right?
A big problem.
And we had athletes, but like, it was the scheme that we had that was just not as fitting. But it is comforting to know, like, okay, that guy I know and trust, he does his job. I'm gonna do my job.
Yeah.
So I know the defensive line. Hey, get to the quarterback in 3 seconds. If it releases, I got my guy locked down where I can get a cover sack for you. Like, I think that's the whole trust factor of the 11, and whoever comes out on the sideline just adds to that too. So
with that, I think this defensive group on this team had the longest offseason of all time because they had to hear the noise about how, they were not good enough. It was because of the offense. Yeah. That's why they found the success. So I think these guys, talk about playing with a chip on your shoulder. I'm excited to see them play tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. That's a great point.
You was at practice. I mean,
yes.
Now it's the emphasis of attention to detail. Because it's like when the dog fight is going and it's pound to pound, who's going to let up? It's not going to be us. Like, we got to be attention to detail, work the same technique just as the beginning of the game to the end of the game. So I think it's going to be great Friday where we can get, hopefully, a big lead where we can see some of our young guys get some game time.
Right? Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing a lot of guys play against Western Michigan. I mean, everybody's talking about the combination of Peyton Thorne playing against his father, who is the offensive coordinator for Western Michigan, Jeff Thorne, who won a national title at North Central College, did take the job in Kalamazoo for Western Michigan now. So this is something that's a little wrinkle that we haven't seen, where you have a player actually going against the father. And I know we have interviews with him and all that, but we'd like to talk to his mom if we could. That's something Cindy was talking to us about earlier. But, what do you think, Jehuu, that Peyton Thorne, a returning quarterback of his caliber, brings to the table? Like, when you have the newer running backs, so Kenneth Walker's gone, and now you have 2 transfers who are here, and Jalen Berger and Jarek Broussard. How does that take pressure off of those younger guys, those newer guys, I won't call them young, when you have a quarterback like Peyton Thorne?
I think Peyton Thorne's confidence is through the roof right now, as it should be, because he had a year under his belt where he didn't have to be the guy. He had Walker he could lean on. Now he has to be the guy on the offensive side. He's getting the accolades. He's getting the recognition now. So I think he's going to be that common controlling factor in the huddle for those guys who are going to be like, okay, Peyton's got us. He's going to lead us. My question is this. All right, we all played. We spoke to, family members during the week about, hey, how you feeling? Peyton's dad's a coach. Peyton's a player. He's coached his son before in the past. I'm sure every week Peyton's leaned on him for advice to say, hey, what do you think about this? As his dad's called him, how are you feeling? Do you think they spoke this week?
I guarantee you they spoke, but I don't think it's about
But
the
it's
game.
been professional.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you just,
So I know George proposed a question to Coach Tucker, like, "Hey, have you picked Peyton's brain about the offense over there to prepare for the defense?" And I mean, listen, Mel, Coach Tucker is a smooth brother, man. Like you already know, he was like,
How do you
listen,
answer that?
He goes, man, that's almost a sin against the football guys.
Yes.
And that was the best answer. He was like,
Yes.
we prepare for like we prepare for anybody else, and that he was like, it's great to have a quarterback who is a coach's son, and you have a guy out there who knows how a coach wants this to be ran, and he's out there with full confidence. I think it's really good to get Noah Kim out here once, hopefully tomorrow. Like I said, we get a lead where we can see him and we can see kind of what the future may be, or for some God reason that something happens, we have confidence.
ready.
Because you think about it, we haven't had quarterbacks strong like in that room that we know we can trust
That's right.
depth wise, right? We always been putting eggs in one.
There's always one guy.
Yeah, it's always
And
one
then
guy.
the
For
next
years
guy
and
came,
years.
we
And it's
kinda
like,
struggled.
it's a drop off. So, interested to see how that goes. But I think convincingly, the brand of Michigan State football, but even this university, is that we can't play around with these games like this, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it. We've seen
Oh,
the
yeah.
upsets, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You gotta, in games like this, you have to throttle the opponent if you plan on being at that elite caliber. I know that Mel Tucker talks about it a lot. He does it every day at practice. His recruiting style, it's all about playing at a high level. You talk to those guys in that locker room, they expect to win every game that they play. They don't shy away from it. And that's something that,
If you don't,
you're
you're
gone.
outta here.
That's right.
Right.
That's quite frankly exactly how it is, and it should be that way. They should feel that way. But when you see a guy like Peyton, I love the answer that Mel gave. It's a sin against the football guys, because we talked about it as well from the Western Michigan side. Do you think the defensive coordinator goes to Jeff Thorne and says to him, "Hey, what are Peyton's weaknesses?"
Right.
That
It's
shouldn't
almost like
happen.
you shouldn't have. If you're a coach at this level, you shouldn't need no assistants.
No.
Study the film.
Study the film. Study the film.
The eye in the sky never lies.
It never lies, man. And going into looking at the big fellas in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball, you've got Marco Coleman as a new defensive line coach, along with pass rush specialist Brandon Jordan, who is just phenomenal. Kevin Vickerson, analyst, that's a Spartan dog that's doing everything. I mean, these guys, the players love the combination of these three coaches up front, and all accounts from what has been going on in camp and scrimmages is that defensive line is ready to go.
Man, that's speed. I mean, when you got linebacker speed on the D lineman,
Oh yeah,
like we trouble. And I trouble.
Yeah.
I just can't wait, man. I sit on that sideline. I want to see it, breathe it, but it's practice. It's going to be the same level. It's always high intensity, coming off and bull rushing. And being a defense guy, we always wanted the quarterbacks to go live, but they are ready to hit another live opponent.
Man.
Right.
Yeah, looking at chops, aren't they? That's one of the things that I think about what Xavier Henderson was quoted in saying a few weeks ago is that we're going to go as far as our offensive line takes us. So to me, what that is saying is, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So this is where if there's any areas of concern, it's going to be the offensive line. And Coach Coach Cap, man, that's what I call him.
Coach Cap.
Yeah, Coach Cap. He's got his work cut out for him. He's got some returning players. Obviously, the three guys in the middle, you're looking at guys like J.D. Duplain, who is a strong guy, very athletic guy, plays guard and center. You have a transfer in Brian Green from Washington State that's going to be a guy who's rolling in there, guard and center position. The tackles are where Michigan State had struggled a year ago a little bit. You've got, Horst, who's a guy who's had some up and downs at Michigan State. But there's an emergence of a young player like Brandon Baldwin, who's playing really well, had a great camp.
Got some freshmen, man.
Yeah, Spencer Brown, who is a straight-up guy. This guy's work ethic is through the roof. He's really, made himself into a fine football player. I tell you that much. So those guys, but he's unproven for a full season. So on the tackles, what are they going to do? Against the heavy speed rush, those power rushers that you can find at Michigan and Ohio State and Wisconsin. Those teams that are going to bring the pain.
Well, yeah, I think with the advantage that this offensive line has right now is they've been going against this defensive line from Michigan State.
Yeah.
So they have a little edge to them about it. And also, too, I think in their heads they know, like, hey, we didn't get the credit we deserved last year.
Yeah.
There was musical chairs there. Sometimes there was ups and downs and everything like that. So this year also, too, that's the biggest focal point on the offense is that offensive line. With them going, then Michigan State will be able to do multiple sets and different things in the offense. Mm-hmm. If they're just strictly a great run block team or a great pass block team, that's going to turn us to one-dimensional. And it's going to be dogfights in games. Defense is going to have to make a stop. And now you're talking winning games 17-14 as opposed to going 30-something to 17. So that offensive line, that's tomorrow. That's where my eye is going to be when the offense on the field.
Right. And the other key area, I think, for Michigan State offensively is going to be the wide receiver position. You look at Jaden Reed coming out after a phenomenal year a year ago, number one on the jersey and number one in your hearts. Jaden Reed is out there. They call him Bird, and Peyton Thorne is the bird feeder. So you have him as the number one guy. And then you have players like Keon Coleman now. Yeah. I mean, talk about Keon Coleman and Trey Mosley, those types of guys.
Coleman, Reed is going to do what Reed does. It's that simple. He's going to do his thing. Who's going to be the next person to step up and take some of that pressure off Reed? Who's going to be the person that's going to fill in for what we lost in Jalen Naylor? Mm-hmm. Keon Coleman, athletic, two-sport athlete. Yeah. But I'm telling you guys, Mosley.
Well, it's good that they got game experience last year.
Exactly.
Like they were key pieces mm-hmm. in some of those drives mm-hmm. last year, right? Like, and even Keon Coleman, have you seen this guy in the warm-ups basketball, though? Like, this man.
Oh, it's crazy.
It
looks like LeBron in warm-ups.
It's ridiculous.
Down on the rim. Yeah.
But it's to the point of that he is a matchup problem from a strength standpoint. Keon Coleman is.
Right.
Speed. Now, Trey Mosley, we're tall. It reminds me of Ohio State's trio last year.
Oh, man.
Like, the chemistry that you see them, like, build – it's basically Reed being that leader that he is, leading by example. But like those guys have like legitimately wanted to be better. And then let's talk about Coach Hawkins has changed this whole trajectory where we used to have a few receivers that we was wide receiver U for a while. But like, he has changed the trajectory with them guys working hard. But like if you don't block, you don't get no time.
No block, no rock.
No rock. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So let's step back here and give some shout outs and kudos to Coach Hawkins.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man,
Flint Town, finest
Spartan dog.
He put that blue collar mentality in the wide receivers room there, because a lot of wide receivers, they don't want to get dirty.
Right.
They want to they want to be pretty, get dressed up nice with the arm sleeve.
You sound like you got some envy going on in the huddle with these receivers. Let's talk about
they got a lot of shine, man.
Everything.
Receivers, is that what
I'm just saying, these guys don't traditionally like to get their hands dirty, want to come back and do a crack block and different things like that. But I think Coach Hawkins done a great job of instilling the Spartan way with these guys. It's saying, back in the day with the Andre Risons, the Plexico Burris, all these people who had success here, I think that's where we're coming. And I'm telling you guys, Trey Mosley. That's my guy. My guy. He's going to be the unsung guy in that wide receiver core. He's sneaky. He's not as big as you think, and then you see him, you're like, wow, he's big. And then you say, oh, he's not that fast. And then you see him run, he's fast. Yeah. That guy, he's going to be the one that emerges.
You know what I saw last year is that the receivers, if for some reason, like drop the ball or miss a block, like you never saw anyone get locked up in that failure, right? It was like next play, next play, next play, and then you see short memory, and then you see big plays happen. Reed or Naylor, like just the mentality of look, that's yesterday. Let's go to next play.
Right. Yep. Memory of a fish.
Yeah. But let's talk about Our tight ends.
Oh yeah, but also the freshman though. There's a freshman wide receiver that we have to don't forget him.
I saw him
Jeremy,
too. I saw him.
We're gonna reserve our judgment until he actually we unwrap that gift. And
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Well, practice.
Wow.
This is practice. I'm just waiting until I see it.
But no, but
I'm waiting to
practice.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah,
Smooth.
I mean, wearing that
I'm-
number
I'm-
4. I think they're moving the number, but he looked awful good out there.
I'm like Missouri, the show me state. You got to show me. Don't talk about my
A true dog right here.
My grandfather
Like,
once
show me.
said, "Talk is cheap, good whiskey costs money."
But it's the tight end room.
Yes.
You're talking about Malik Carr.
Dude.
And then
NFL tight
man.
end.
Yeah.
Barker.
Barker.
NFL tight end.
2 of them.
Yes. Now, what was Barker's maybe Achilles heel is you got to learn the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Illinois. I mean, shoot, he had a game against us when we played them, right?
All-time leading touchdown receptions for a tight end in Illinois history. And he still has eligibility. He leaves.
Crazy.
And we get this guy. I mean, you look at the eye test, those 2 guys, they got. But the hands, I've seen Barker targeted probably 5 or 6 times. He caught every one. And some of them weren't great passes.
Yeah.
And he was
Now,
able to,
when you get a hybrid tight end, you can attest this in the league that can go slot and be a threat on the line and also in motion. You know, as an ace back coming off that block, like just a dual threat, triple threat.
That causes problems for the defense.
For sure.
Because if you're game playing for Michigan State and you have a tight end that you can go in the slot and play in the slot and run, what do? Do you put a linebacker out there? Okay, he's going to be faster than him. Do you bring a safety down? Now you're leaving exposed over there. So that causes problems, and that makes a defense have to spend extra time trying to figure out what we're going to do if they go to this set. So that's great. My issue with the transfer, what's he going to do with the bright lights now? He was from Illinois. I get it. It's a Big Ten football. But now it's 80,000 people week in and week out that's going to be watching them. Illinois didn't get 80,000 people.
And it's a successful season, too, of a team who has success.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the deep water now.
In the deep water, can he be comfortable in the deep end?
That's
You
what
see
we
that?
have to see. You see, Jay likes challenging. He likes to challenge people. That's what football really is. Just like life, it's all about challenges and how you're going to face them. And we reserve our judgment for players until they actually show up. It's hard. Like nowadays in recruiting, we love kids, but until they actually show up to campus, real dogs don't really buy into any of that.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying 100%. So that's a deep breakdown into the players for Michigan State. Now, what do you guys think as far as this season's record? When you look at the games.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to say something about kickers. I was like, they're not people.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
We got one. We got a good one now, man. We got a
He's a great kicker.
We got a transfer in here. Yeah.
Jeez, I'm just glad Coughlin finally ran out after 20 years at Michigan State here.
Because he set the record so far
He
out
said
there.
it so far.
So we don't like receivers and we don't like kickers.
I love receivers.
Bad taste because our kickers would go gamble overnight, play some cards during practice.
One time, these kickers took the cart to the Oakland Mall during two-a-days.
Oh, my God.
The trainer's cart.
Really?
Yeah, and nobody missed them because they're not players.
Oh, my God. We need them. We need them. I'll tell you, Stone is one of those guys that once you get past the 40 of the opposing defense,
Money.
You got you
In big games.
Yeah.
Big games.
He's got a big time leg.
has game
Show
experience.
me.
That's hey.
I was about to pull
your
up one
point.
of our. I don't want to bring up the day with one of our kickers who got ghosted after.
Oh!
But that's a high pressure position. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
You gotta have a very short
But he's
memory.
saying this because Jay, you can kick a field goal. So
that what it is?
Oh yeah. Jay, you can kick a field
that's
goal.
what it is.
Yeah, that's what he's like. If I could do it, you should do it. Like
Exactly.
They're not people. They're not players.
They're not.
They're not people or players.
Well, let's
They're both.
be like Coach Narduzzi, where you line up the punters and the kickers in a tackling drill against the defensive backs. Tell them, get over here. You're not doing anything.
Right.
There are tackling dummies.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
No, Deuce, you did that. Deuce. We got to talk to Dudes, man. Like, there's a lot going on.
Dude said they would have won that game if
He's
they
my
had a
guy,
good.
too, man. Dudes, he wants the kickers to get tough.
Oh,
Hey, man.
yeah.
Hey, that's
Those
a
were back in
different
the day.
mentality.
Back in the day.
You can't do that kind of
Can't do
stuff
that right now,
anymore,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, so, like, looking at this season, game by game, if you want to go through the schedule or just give us in your mind, Otis, what do you think Michigan State does this year?
I think we will win. We'll be undefeated to win those Buckeyes come into town.
Undefeated.
And do you understand? Like they got that marked up on that calendar. Obviously, it's game by game. We can't overlook it because everyone is an opponent, and you can get beat any day. But that Ohio State game last year truly measured our program, and I think now it's like, look, we're worried about everybody, but if we want to be elite, if we want to get to the CFP, if we want to get to the national championship, you got to beat the Buckeyes.
It goes through Columbus.
Goes through Columbus.
It absolutely
goes
does.
through Columbus, and then we got to take care of those guys down the road. But for sure, Wisconsin comes back into town. That rivalry that Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, and we went out to play them, but it was like a 2-year off, 2-year on. We were never to get that rivalry going, but that started around that Big Ten championship game where we should have won that game. Mm-hmm. That punt,
they ripped the
they
rose
ripped it
out of your mouth.
out of it.
Oh,
so they're
tough,
coming
man.
back, and we already know Wisconsin is pound.
Right.
Offensive linemen are
Yo,
always
they
the
coming
greediest.
downhill.
They're coming. So
That's gonna be a big game
those
for
are those,
Herbert.
and it's back to back. So
Yeah.
it's one of those where
Back to back to back.
yes,
Ohio State,
Wisconsin.
at home, Wisconsin at home, and then on the road to Michigan.
and I think that's where we have to truly. They've been working on it all season to build that perseverance and that body and that mentality and that mental perseverance to get to that, because that's going to be that October stretch is like it's a dog.
Murderous row.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
it's a dog.
yeah. I mean October.
Now we
that's
talk
not
about
gonna be easy.
TV rights. Now media is perfect for that, right? The numbers are going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
Now for me, I mean, I don't want to play back to back, but
Right. Yeah. The ratings are going to be high. What about you, Jay? What are you thinking?
I think the Spartans are going to play with a chip on their shoulder. I feel they have a lot to prove. I think there's going to be one slip up this year, but it's not going to be against a team that we think like, oh my God, like something like Ohio State. It's going to be some fluky game, some
Like
that,
a IU.
like a Purdue like last year kind of thing. And but I think we're going to be right in contention, for the Big Ten title. I definitely feel with the coaching staff that we have, the players, the program, the way that things are being run, we're going to be in a position to make a run for that playoff spot.
For me, I think one of the most key games, the most critical games for them will be going on the road for the first time out to Washington.
I know.
Go to Washington, to Seattle. It's not an easy road trip. Michigan State's gone out there to play Oregon before and not had a lot of success out there.
Yeah,
but
I was there. You
yeah.
both.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Game was,
Yeah, that was
first
rough.
Of all, it was hot.
It was extremely
It was
hot.
Extremely hot.
Yeah, it's unseasonably
I don't even
hot.
know how I survived.
Very loud.
Very loud.
You think that the Pacific Northwest doesn't have they have fans that go crazy in small stadiums. So, and then you're also facing a familiar opponent in the quarterback in Penix, who played for IU. He's an Indiana quarterback transfer who has beaten Michigan State.
And he's got that redemption song, coming back, yeah.
To me, that is one of the games that if Michigan State can go out there and handle the business and take care of business seriously, not just win closely, but convincingly, then I think they can be on a way, to try to get into that college football playoff discussion. But it all comes down to what's going to happen in October. At the end of the day.
I think that Washington game, it's not going to come down to X's and O's on the field if we win or lose. It's going to come down to the preparation and how you carry yourself going in there. An East Coast team going to the West Coast. It's a little easier than West Coast coming to the East Coast. But,
Time-wise.
you have to get there probably a day earlier than usual, change everything up. Don't get sucked into, because Washington, beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
People do, instead of tailgating, they do seagating,
Sailgate,
sailgating on the
sailgating,
boats and
yeah.
everything. The stadium overlooks the Pacific
players
Ocean.
can't be focused on that.
You can't be focused on it.
No,
You can't
can't.
get caught up in the noise. You got to keep your poise in the noise. And I think if they get by all those distractions, they'll handle business.
I mean, the beautiful thing about Coach Tucker and his leadership is that it's pro style across the entire board when it comes to travel and game prep on game day or the night before. Like, treats them like the pros that they're supposed to be, adults, right? Like, it's not heavy meetings. It's really like it's up to the coach, the position coach, to do a small meeting here and there, but it's pro style.
Yeah.
So it's like he wants the players to be relaxed as possible, to be like just low key chill, and then if you're not prepared by the time the game before the game or day before the game, like
you're not
gonna get prepared. So I mean that's kind of like what Coach D was like, I'm not gonna hoorah you, and your blood should be boiling. And if it's not, don't run out the stand.
He's not going to be like John L. Smith. Get your piss hot.
I think that, last year's big road game going down to Miami, Mel Tucker showed, in the preparation in the weeks leading up to the Miami game that they were ready. They did the hydration plan, the nutrition plan in order to not cramp up. It's very easy to do down there by the equator in Miami. Similar approach to this game going out to Washington is something they're going to need to take and handle that as a business trip, as you just said. But, looking at this season, it's going to be an exciting time. We're all very excited about what tomorrow's game is going to look like. Right now, we are going to close this show up, man. And for my co-hosts, Otis Wiley and Jehuu Caulcrick, I'm Jason Strayhorn. Until next time, good night, God bless, and go green.
Go white.
Go white.
This is Sparta!